Wednesday One show with Ronan Keating
and Alex Jones. Now we're live on BBC One and iPlayer alongside Matt Allwright, who is talking about something lots of people are really worried about at this time of year: energy bills.
Yes, tonight, British Gas and OVO getting your bills wrong by tens of thousands, then taking months to put it right. Also, how are crafty fraudsters seemingly hijacking the Etsy website to stitch you up? And trust us, you won't want to miss out on the thousands in savings trust cash your children could be owed if they were born between two very important dates. Quids for your kid that shouldn't stay hid.
He's a poet. Stay tuned for that. And later we'll be joined in the studio by comedian, radio presenter and podcaster Frank Skinner, who'll be dishing all the dirt on his latest tour.
Plus, we'll be meeting the newest guest dragon to join the den, British businesswoman Emma Greed, who, after taking over America, is returning home to lend a helping hand to Britain's aspiring businessmen and women.
I can't wait to meet her. And from a high flyer in the business world to the high flyers of the future, we found out why so many young people are choosing to become apprentices.
Now, as ever, we want to hear from you if you're looking for inspiration from Emma about how to turn your side hustle into a multi-million-pound business, or if you want to ask Frank about the fundamentals of being funny. Get in touch in all the usual ways.
But first, down to brass tacks with Matt and this week's watchdog.
If the last few years have taught us anything, it's that computers can make mistakes. And there are times when the amount we're told we owe ain't necessarily so. Trying to put right those mistakes can be hard, even when your energy company has made a schoolboy error. Paying for your gas and electricity can be a struggle at the best of times. But if you think your bills are wrong, sorting it out can take, well, serious energy. Now, putting together an energy bill should be very straightforward. You just take the standing charge, which never changes, then you add it to a multiple of the usage, how much energy you use, times the cost of that energy per unit. Very simple. We've been over it a number of times, and yet it seems like some of you still aren't getting it. And yes, I'm looking at you, British Gas. For Martin from Peterborough, the sum certainly didn't add up. In July 2023, he and his family were forced into rental accommodation after a car crashed into their home. For the next 5 months, Martin would return home to check on repair works, and while there, he'd take his meter readings. The last thing I'd be thinking about at that point is your gas bill. But you did.
Yeah, the boiler is the only gas appliance, so we'd isolated that, so it was off. Wasn't using any gas. And every month that I submitted the reading, obviously the reading stayed the same.
The bills were the expected amounts, until December, when he received one totalling more than £75,000.
I then set about contacting British Gas to try and resolve the issue. And I thought it'd be a simple process. They'll see the error and get it rectified. I was told it's going to be escalated up to a team to raise a case and then it will be dealt with.
But that didn't happen. Instead, Martin's received many promises from British Gas that the issue's been resolved, but he's still being billed.
I'm just concerned that this could possibly affect my credit rating, and will I have to pay it?
British Gas, not quick enough to hold up its hand, too many mistakes, must try harder. But it's clear, if we're writing a report card for the British energy industry, it's not just British Gas whose billing isn't thrilling. OVO. Watchdog viewer Andy's been getting regular gas bills from OVO for the past 2 years. There's just one problem. So, you've never had gas at that property?
There's not even a meter.
I mean, this must be a huge worry for you.
I live with my 4 children. They're concerned that someone's going to knock on the door and try and remove stuff from the property.
Just like British Gas, OVO has promised the issue is resolved, but the bills and letters keep coming. Andy even got an engineer's report proving there's no gas supply to the property. And despite the Ombudsman accepting Andy's homework, it appears OVO has not.
I don't know how to get to the bottom of it. I think over 2 years of trying is long enough.
Another of the hundreds that have contacted us about shocking bills is Meryl.
It's been 2 years of hell with British Gas since they took over our account.
British Gas has been changing her meter readings for years, and recently her app even said she used nearly 200,000 units of electricity in just 3 days, equating to over £80,000.
We've had debt collector threats and all sorts. We've gone to the Ombudsman, but British Gas have ignored them.
James Daly from Fairer Finance has been writing about misbilling for years.
What's the bigger picture?
We know that misbilling is becoming an ever-growing problem. Actually, in the second quarter of last year, there were double the number of complaints to the Energy Ombudsman about misbilling than there were in the same quarter the previous year.
Even once a complaint has been upheld by the Ombudsman, we've seen that the misbilling continues.
Well, it's an absolute shambles, and I think you would expect Ofgem, the regulator, to come down twice as hard on companies. Energy companies need to be able to see consequences from the regulator in the form of large fines if they don't sort this out very quickly.
British Gas apologises for not resolving Martin and Merrill's cases quickly enough and says it's invested in improving its service recently. In Andy's case, OVO says the gas meter he's being charged for was assigned to the wrong address and it's working hard to correct the issue.
Energy companies, you're running out of excuses for getting your sums wrong. Newsflash, computers aren't perfect, so you need to open up your lines of communication, listen and act when customers tell you, this just doesn't add up. Right, let's get a massive result straight off the bat. Martin has had that ridiculous £75,000 of a bill finally wiped off his account. Can I get a whoop whoop?
Whoop whoop!
Bless you.
This little Miss Billings has a lot to answer for, doesn't she?
She's a naughty miss.
Isn't she?
Energy regulator, you're absolutely right. Ofgem says the cases highlighted by us are totally unacceptable. It's seeking urgent answers from British Gas and OVO and is willing to take appropriate action. Here's what I reckon. Martin's bill and the others in the film only got spotted because they were such ludicrously large amounts. There's never been a better time to check back through your bills and make sure something smaller hasn't crept through. After all, these things aren't always isolated incidents, you know. If you spot a sliding decimal point or a zero where it shouldn't be, then do get in touch. watchdog@bbc.co.uk, at BBC Watchdog on socials. You guys, are you Etsy fans?
Oh, yeah. For a little, you know, for a special birthday card. You like a wooden sign, don't you?
Businesses. Yes, I did, didn't I? I bought some signs.
Yes, they're very good side hustles, very good little business. We're talking about businesses tonight. But we have had some very worrying messages from some sellers on Etsy who tell us that the online marketplace is being used to scam them. Selena sells candles.
Oh, I love a candle.
She does.
Who doesn't? So does Selena. But she had a meltdown when she received this message on the 17th of October last year, just as she was reopening her shop after a bit of a break. It came through the Etsy private message system on the phone app, which is used by buyers and sellers to communicate, as well as by Etsy itself. It asked her to verify her email address and that she would be sent an email with a link.
And that was happening whilst she was on the Etsy app?
Yeah, through the app itself. So Selena's guard, as you can understand, was down. The link took her to a payment portal which told her that to restart her account, she had to deposit £200, which would then be refunded to her afterwards. It wasn't, and it won't be, because it wasn't Etsy getting in touch. It was Dodgy Phil, the scammer, and his seedy friends.
So the initial message sent on the app, as you said, and then directed away from the website to deposit the money.
Exactly.
I mean, Etsy, this can't be all right, can it?
No, you would have thought they'd do something about it. Scammers, you see, this is the problem. They can make Etsy profiles which have names like Etsy, Etsy support, or verification, so it can look like it's coming from the platform itself. On the website, official messages come from a separate from Etsy inbox, but there isn't one of those on the phone app. So if you're using that, as Selena was, you won't be able to tell the difference. Heavens to Betsy, Etsy, crochet yourself one of those inboxes for the app too, because people are getting hooked left, right and centre. Tonight, Etsy says it takes user safety extremely seriously and its expert teams work to combat fraud. It takes steps to educate users on how to spot official Etsy messages. It's carrying on its work to get solutions and protect buyers and sellers. So, the important thing, Etsy is not going to refund Selena, which quite frankly is getting on her wick. And it's also something Etsy sellers should be aware of. Right, between you, you got a few kids, you guys?
8 between us. Yeah.
Good going. But maybe you don't know if they've got child trust funds. If your kids were born between the 1st of September 2002 and the 2nd of January 2011, the government will have given them a child trust fund with either £250 or £500 in it. But loads of people have forgotten about these accounts. 5.3 million accounts to be precise, with an average of £2,000 at each one, which is how much cash in total, Ronan Keating?
A lot. 10.6 billion.
What?
Yes. Where did I get that from?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a lot. How can people get their hands on this money? It's incredible.
He's a human calculator.
If
you know the provider that's given you these accounts in the first place, contact them directly. If not, go straight to gov.uk, where there's a form you can fill out. There's also a postal address on our website with those details. But do not, under any circumstances, Google to find out more about this, because there is a chance you will come across Dodgy Phil the scammer and his friends again. And we've got our eye on you, Dodgy Phil. Yeah. If you have a story, that's all of you, not Phil, that you'd like us to investigate, please let us know. Email watchdog@bbc.co.uk, and it's at BBC Watchdog on socials.
Thank you, as always, Matt.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, it's almost time to welcome tonight's guests. One is the very funny Frank Skinner.
And the other is the formidable Emma Greed, who is the latest guest dragon to enter the den. But we'll leave it to Emma to tell you a bit more about herself.
My name's Emma Greed. I am an entrepreneur and I'm from East London.
The Dragons have a special guest.
Emma, welcome.
So happy to be here. It's a bit major, isn't it? I'm the CEO and founder of Good American with my business partner, Khloe Kardashian. On our first day of business, we sold $1 million worth of jeans, and that was an incredible start to what I knew would be an amazing journey. I'm also the founding partner of Skims alongside Kim Kardashian. That business is valued at $3.2 billion. Real gold? Oh, come on. It was a really proud moment for me to make the Forbes richest self-made women list. Underline, self-made.
Oh, welcome to the show to both of you. It's good to see you both.
Thank you.
Now then, you have got some credentials, Emma, as we saw there. You mix in Hollywood circles. What it's like mixing with Frank Skinner next to you on the sofa.
I mean, I can barely contain myself.
Yes. 3.2 billion.
I mean, it's not all mine.
No, but that's exciting.
It's good going, isn't it?
It is.
It's all right, it'll do.
I tell you what else is exciting, Frank. You've got a motorcycle waiting outside the studio right now.
Yeah, when I was a young man, I used to watch... Terry Wogan used to have a live show on weekday nights. And occasionally someone would say, yes, I have to get to the West End now. And I used to think, what lives these people lead? And now it's me. I'm on a bike to the West End. I'm on at the Gielgud Theatre tonight.
Good on you.
Nice.
Well, Emma, we're going to see you in action on the Den tomorrow evening. Now, you've already worked on the US version of the show. What drew you to the UK version?
You know, I think it's just like, first of all, I wanted to do something here because my nan, who lives in Canvey Island, can't watch Shark Tank, so it's no good, really. It just feels like dollars, like it's like made up to me. So, I don't know, I just felt like doing something in the UK would be amazing and my family get to see it.
Nice.
Yeah, nice to be home, isn't it? Let's have a look at Emma sharing her business expertise with a budding entrepreneur.
From my view, a couple of the signs of a good entrepreneur is learning fast, pivoting even faster. Are you willing to actually take the advice from this group of people here, focus on your product range, not look to the app, and just focus in on what it is that you do really well?
Absolutely. I came here because I want this business to win.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say, like 100% hands down.
Brilliant. Emma, when people first walk out and they see you all sitting there, they must be terrified.
Oh, my goodness. They just absolutely must be. I mean, even me going in there, it's such a familiar scene. I've been watching that show since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I just find the whole thing must be so intimidating. I mean, it's a lot coming and pitching your business when it's not on the telly. But, you know, this is difficult.
Do you think that fear can affect their pitch?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Also, you know, you've got people firing questions at you and you need to be, like, on it. You've got to have everything, like, all your ducks in a row.
Yeah. Oh, God, because she looked scared, didn't she? But she
does.
answered the question.
But it does.
I know.
It does look like an S&M dungeon. That doesn't help, does it?
Well, Frank, it's just atmospheric, isn't it?
They should have plastered those walls after all these years.
It's supposed to be intimidating. I think that's the point.
Yeah, but post-nuclear war, that's going to make people look edgy.
It's on a budget, see.
Okay.
He said it.
That's it.
Now, Emma, lots of people will be watching at home, super inspired and thinking, how did you get to where you are? Because, of course, school wasn't the thing for you, wasn't it? It
you
didn't
can say
quite
that
work
again.
for you. But since then, of course, you've gone on to amazing things. What do you put your success down to?
You know, I feel like it's hard work, of course, but a little bit of luck, you know, and I feel like luck is when preparation and opportunity kind of meet, and I've just been very, very prepared for whenever my opportunity would come.
OK, we have got some questions.
Oh,
okay?
you do?
People
Okay.
are going, sort me out.
Emma, Natalie is a holistic therapist and Reiki master. Her question is, how do I best promote my business?
Well, you know, it's so easy these days because we've got social media, so you don't even need any money. You just got to get up there and hope that someone believes the same thing that you do. And so that's what I do so much for my brand. It's best when you create something that's within, you know, your sphere of excellence. So you just get on there and tell people why they need it. Honestly, authentically, and without any, you know, messing around.
Yeah. What was your first success story, and is that what led you to believe you could do this?
Yeah, you know what? It's like I've had a lot of failures, and I think that's the honest truth. Yeah. I've done so many things that haven't worked out that I've just kind of taken pieces from all of those things. And, you know, everyone gets a little bit of luck, and then you just got to be prepared to put the hard graft in, and that's what I've done. But I always think, like, solving a problem, if you have a problem and you solve it, the chances are other people are going to have the same problems. And that's what I've done. I created businesses that were for all women, regardless of what you look like, what your size is, and people love that.
Frank, you've got a problem, actually, because you've got a pitch for Emma, don't you? Could be the next big thing.
I can't wait.
Well, I had this idea, Emma, that it's a plastic football, you know, it's an ordinary plastic football with a chain on it, short chain, and the chain has a bath plug on the end. And you plug it in and your bath can never overflow because as the water rises, the plastic ball will float and pull the plug out.
Listen, as a mother of 4 and with kids who like regularly, you know, flood things, I think it's a great idea. I'd invest.
Yeah, I'm after...
I'm all about it.
I'm after 800,000 and 10% of the business.
There you are.
Can you imagine?
Go on tour now. You're sorted.
I would be so rubbish as a dragon. When I first tried on, you know, the umbrella hat that fits on your head, I remember thinking, well, this is a game changer. That's it for handheld umbrellas now. They're finished.
I suggest you don't go on.
No.
Yeah. OK, you can see Emma in Dragon's Den tomorrow at 8 p.m. on BBC One and iPlayer.
Emma will have inspired so many young people tonight thinking about going into business. And if you are sat at home wondering how you can make your mark, you're going to enjoy our next film.
Yeah, it's National Apprentice Week, and with more and more companies offering apprenticeships, now's the perfect moment to earn and learn at the same time.
Meet Matthew, sisters Abby and Emma, and Billy.
That's really good work, yeah.
They're apprentices with one of Britain's biggest manufacturers, BAE Systems, the group that builds submarines, fighter jets and warships. Around 70,000 businesses support apprentice schemes where you earn and learn at the same time. In Barrow, 18-year-old Emma is in her first year as a degree apprentice. She's following in the footsteps of her big sister Abby.
I'm in my second year of my project management apprenticeship and I currently work on the submarine programme. For me, it was just very much suited to the kind of learner that I am. Things that you're learning about, you get to apply and see how they work in a real-life business setting.
I wasn't sure what to do. I seen Abby get on and do well. I thought this is something that I want to be a part of.
You do have to balance working as well as doing university studies. It can be quite challenging.
Currently my work pattern is 4 days on site and then I do a Friday at university studying along that project management degree.
Without doing the apprenticeship I'd be at university probably in a lot of debt and I avoided that. It's allowed me to save up and buy a house at 19, which I definitely wouldn't have been able to do had I not joined the apprenticeship scheme.
13 years ago, less than 1% of all apprenticeships led to qualified degrees. Now, it's 30%. Matthew chose an apprenticeship over university. He's in his final year as an aerospace engineer.
So day to day, I work on a brand new aircraft doing wiring provisions for electrical cables throughout the aircraft. So before the apprenticeship, I grew up on the family farm and doing stuff like milking the cows. My interest sort of grew into engineering, machinery in sixth form college. Most of the people around me went to university. I didn't want to do full-time education anymore. I preferred being hands-on. I then looked at an engineering degree apprenticeship. The company paid for my uni degree but also pay me as a regular employee.
Over 95% of apprentices here complete the scheme to land full-time jobs with the company. Across the UK, apprenticeships are increasingly an entry route into a wide range of professions, such as teaching, chartered surveying and law.
Since 2012, we've been undertaking a series of reforms to really boost the quality, to make sure that apprenticeships are available in the jobs that the economy really needs. All apprenticeships these days are designed by employers. Lots of companies think of it now as the sort of gold standard route into their organisations, and that's what we're seeing reflected now in the pent-up demand, particularly from young people. We've got all of the traditional trades like electricians and plumbers. This year, the NHS are looking to recruit 9,000 apprentice nurses, but we've got a whole range of different things that you might not expect. So cybersecurity specialists, accountants.
At this site in Glasgow, 28-year-old Billy is working on the next generation of naval ships.
Right now we're on the bridge of HMS Cardiff. Once the ship's ready to commission, we'll be taking the ship to sea as well, so just seeing that everything on board works as it should. I'm really happy with where I am just now because here I'm kind of guaranteed progression.
Billy's on a 4-year apprenticeship and will earn a higher national certificate or HNC in marine engineering. It's a long way from a former job as a bouncer.
The most recent venue that I worked in was actually the Buff Club where we are right now, helping people that maybe had too much to drink. When I was younger, I didn't think about apprenticeships at all. It was when I got older that I started to realise I felt like I'd really missed out on an opportunity, but I thought I was too old. I'd already done an HNC in engineering, but when I did that, I couldn't decide where to go. But when I saw the BA one, I was just like, do you know what, this seems really interesting, and it does seem like there's a purpose to it.
About 800,000 people are enrolled in apprenticeship programmes in the UK. It's hoped that with big companies like Google and Barclays supporting them, more opportunities will open up for apprenticeships to find the next Billy, Abby and Matthew.
And you can find out more about apprenticeships here at the BBC by going to bbc.co.uk/early careers, where there's loads of very useful advice.
Now, Emma, you really believe in apprenticeships, don't you?
Oh, I really do. I feel like I did so much work experience myself. And it's the same kind of thing. I have apprentices all through my businesses. I really do.
That's great.
Amazing.
You got
really
to.
Important.
And now then, Frank, you are not an apprentice anymore, my friend.
No,
because
I don't have a comedy apprentice who I look after and bring up through.
Train your son up.
Why not?
No, maybe I should. Because I hate all rivals, that's why.
That is a great reason. Maybe I should cut it out.
Yeah, so you're on tour, 30 years of dirt.
Yes.
Looking back at your career, who was the first person who said, you're pretty funny, you should get into comedy?
Well, incredibly, my dad, who worked in factories all his life, said to me, you need to get into showbiz, that's the way forward. He said, look, there's people, I won't name them, but he said, they don't have any talent, but they're making a great living on the telly. He said, that's where you want to go.
Loads of people are thinking the same now.
We're all at home.
Yeah, but it's a weird thing for a working class bloke to say, but he said, he banged the telly and said, get on this. Brilliant. That's the way forward.
Well, you've obviously got loads of fans around the world, but your 11-year-old son isn't one of them, is that right?
Well, he's a fan of mine, but recently I was watching the telly and there was an advert for an Alan Carr TV show. He said, I really like Alan Carr. I said, yeah. And he said, I think he's funnier than you, to be honest. I mean, now I know that kids say barbed, things as you get older. I didn't think it'd be that barbed or that soon.
That's pretty Captain.
Oh, that really, I haven't slept. Look at me, I haven't slept.
Well, but whatever he thinks, I mean, the tour has been a big success.
Well, so I'm at the Giel Good Theatre in the West End tonight and for the next 2 weeks. And then from the beginning of March, I'm sort of everywhere.
You sound a bit throaty. Are you okay?
Yes, it's my new sexy voice. Lovely. I had a small operation on the throat to give me a bit more of a ooh baby. What do you think?
Yeah, it's very good.
Very
good, Frank. Now, you're going back to Birmingham, which is the location of your very first gig.
Sorry, I thought I was being rehoused.
Not tonight.
Yes, my first gig was for the Birmingham Anglers Association Club. Yeah. And the first gig actually was terrible, but not as terrible as the second gig. The first gig, they just called an informal interval, and people just sat talking and that while I was on, going to the bar. The second one was a New Year's Eve night, and They were all given little plastic trumpets to celebrate New Year's Eve, and they blew them throughout my act.
Rude.
Yes, it was rude and heartbreaking.
Yeah, who's laughing now, Frank?
Who's laughing now?
Who's laughing now, Frank?
Thank you.
And you've had brilliant reviews, but you don't read reviews, we know that.
I don't read reviews, but I like people telling me I've had brilliant ones.
Yeah.
But the irony is you've got this brand new radio show and it's based completely on reviews.
It's online. It's about online reviews, yeah. And it's all, actually it starts. I'm the host, and we have comedians on, and then we talk about online reviews. And they all start by talking about a bad review that they've had.
Love it.
Like, I had a review, this is not really bad, but I didn't understand it. It said, stand-up comedy at its very best, 4 stars. That's got to be 5, hasn't it? But yeah, so we look at all sorts of things being reviewed on the internet. Like, there's a woman, and she's a woman hairdresser, and this guy really lays into her on a review. He says she's very indiscreet, don't tell her anything. And she answers back, the hairdresser.
Yeah, what does she say?
And she says, this is very unfair. And then she describes the man in such detail, everyone will know who he is locally. And then she says, it was very horrible to criticise me. No wonder your daughter doesn't talk to you anymore. She's fairly indiscreet.
Yeah, very.
And very quickly, the Poetry Podcast.
Yes.
Again, huge success. 9th series.
It's currently the 9th series.
Can you believe?
No.
It's been going for this long.
I really thought it would be like 5 people in spectacles. and then I get stopped all the time. People saying, "Oh, I love your poetry." But I mean, who would have seen that? You wouldn't have given me money for that.
Absolutely not.
If I'd have gone into Dragon's Den with a poetry podcast.
We'd have been out.
I'd have been
well done.
out of there, yeah.
You can catch Frank performing his new stand-up show, 30 Years of Dirt, at London's Gielgud Theatre for the next 2 weeks, followed by a nationwide tour starting on the 12th of March.
Frank's Poetry Podcast is available wherever you get your podcast from, and you can hear his new radio show, One Person Found This Helpful, good title, at 6:30 p.m. on the 19th of February on Radio 4 and BBC Sounds.
All right, thanks to tonight's guests, Emma and Frank, and of course to Matt for this week's Watchdog.
Good luck tonight, Frank, with a voice as well.
Good luck.
I'll be here with Lauren tomorrow, and joining us will be actors